thanks for coming. Glad we have a beautiful day, no rain, perfectly warm. Anyway, we have world famous Geoff Allen. So we're going to learn a lot.
I'm blushing already.
He's blushing. He is. He's really on his way. So we're lucky to have him. It'll probably come a time where he won't do these lowly demos for
Never.
the Watercolor Society. Anyway, I'm just kidding. He'll have to. He owes it to me. Right?
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, there's a lot going on in the park, the flower show, but it seems to be really succulent. And then the farmer's market, so there's no excuses not having anything to paint. There's plenty here to paint. The bathroom's right here.
Oh.
There's a restaurant over in there. There's places to buy snacks and food, so you won't starve either. So, without further delay, we'll take it away. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
Here, we gotta turn yours on.
Oh, how do you do that? Oh, back here.
Okay.
Shows you what I know.
Now bring it close to your mouth.
Close to it. Okay.
Can you hear it?
Can you hear me? All right. Okay. Well, thank you for coming. And it is true that I sort of got I feel like my start in plein air by coming to these. So I think they're very important. And I was just telling someone that I know on Instagram how, it's like to me there's so many things you do in the studio are controlled, and you kind of learn what colors to mix, what brushes to use, all these skills. But out here, it's all wild. We're in the wild, things can happen and that you don't anticipate. Like I set up over there, now I'm over here, people, and I was just looking here, the sun changed, but I kind of locked it in before I got started so that I could talk about it instead of being right into painting. And this is my value sketch. Now, why do I make those? I make it because so my brain has a little time to work on all this chaos here, and to put it into shapes, and to make, okay, how big do I want that? How small do I want that? Where am I going to get light to come into my foreground? Many paintings, it's background, middle ground, foreground, but how does your eye go up and down? And I call that pathways. So how do I make pathways? Well, I use light. Like you'll see this dark, and hopefully I won't mess it up, but you'll see a big dark shape here. And that's this tree mass. But I want to inject some light into it. And the same with this mass too. And I want light hitting some of the leaves. So by bringing light into your shadow shapes, I believe you're bringing like the sky into the foreground, into the middle ground, and your eye can travel through. And also you make relationships. It's not just light, it could be color, it could be, it could be a brush stroke. All these things are elements that we can develop to connect and break. So when I say break, I mean, like if I do you see this little white mark on the top of the building? On here, I put some gouache or titanium white there, but I might break that shape. So it's not just a hard line. I don't have to make it hard. I make things soft and hard based on how I want to move the person's eye throughout my composition. So it's always your choice, like what to do. Oh, I want to make that hard. I'll make that hard. But the because I want to make it hard because I want to stop someone's vision there. I don't want them going off, so maybe I'll make it hard. But I want them to move through this, so I want to make that soft. I'll make it less contrast. I'll make it a broken stroke. I'll do, maybe I'll fade the color back. I'll make it lighter in value instead of dark. So all those things we go through that process. So when I do these, it gives my brain a little time to figure that out. Okay. So as I've said before, when I do this, like my first layer, my first wash, it's all about light. So I'm painting light, and I try and get messy. Have you guys seen me splatter? So what's that about? I think it's about letting something it's that lack of control of trying to let go. So, and use as much water as I can. Okay, so let's get going. I always, when I get here, I always feed my, I squirt, try and get as much water on my colors as I can, so that, and my brushes as well. I hate turning my back to you, but I'm going to have to do that. And I always give my brushes a drink, because they always have some color in them from something else. Okay, so it's light. Now the light's all different, but I'm going to stick with sort of what I had thought. Anything that's white on this, I think of as sky. I think of as light. So I might go a little warm, and I'm going to go light value. So I'm going to take care of that first. But I always go with what I see, so I'm going to have to change that. That's tough on me. Okay, so brilliant pink, a little cerulean, kind of cool that up. I don't want to use too many warm colors, so I'm sort of making like a warm gray I'm trying to get. I'll make another color, and I'm just going to use cerulean, cobalt. Oop, too much water. I want to make this a thicker mixture. So notice I have like 3 mops, and so I can sort of load each one. Cerulean, cobalt, some of my brilliant pink, Holbein color. And I'm just going to put a little bit of burnt sienna, a little bit. Anytime I want a gray, I go to burnt sienna, a little ultramarine. Trying to get enough of that in there. Okay, and I'm one more pink. So these Holbein colors that are semi-transparent, they have a little titanium. They have more body. They're not going to move as fast or as much when I put them down. So and sometimes I'll add a color to that. Okay, so I got my sky color. I'm gonna go back there. Okay, I think I can get going. Now I didn't see that. Oh, by the way, this is a panel. This is paper mounted on gator board. So, and it's what is this stuff called? This is Saunders. So give it a little pre-wet. Why am I doing this? I'm just feeding the paper some water. The more I feed it, and it really depends on how hot it is. So this is my soft time. I'm just gonna go ahead and I think I'm gonna just do a bead on this. A bead, it has more water when you're doing a bead. So did you see I kind of put twice, I went up here 3 times. So bead is accumulating. I'm just going to take that down. And maybe I'm just going to warm it up as I come down. So that was Jaune Brilliant. Maybe I'll put some yellow ochre. Oop, got a little green in it, something like that. I want to keep it sort of on the reddish, the warm side, reddish side. Putting a little more. So really, this is to me warmth, and I can paint right through my building. And these are leaves here. I want some sparkle in some of these leaves, so I'm going to try and leave some open, so I'm very lightly. You see, I'm almost quickly dragging the brush really quick, leaving some spaces. And I'm getting down. I love this building over there. It looks like, I don't know, to me it's like sky color, that building over there, that light blue. Do you see that? Okay, now before I get going too far, I'm just gonna, before this gets too dry, I'm just gonna I'm gonna splay this out a little bit. I just wanna make a few. You have to usually wait. Like if I did that right away, it'd be too wet, which it goes, right? So I waited a little bit. Maybe I want it brighter over here, so I'm just gonna knock that off. maybe sort of go for a warmer color here. But that should be pretty light. And if I think I got too much on it, maybe I'll give it a squirt. It'll flow down, take some of that pigment, it'll lighten up there. Okay, so really quick, done. Can't wait too long. I see it's starting to flow down too much, so I'm just gonna tilt a little bit, let it flow another way. That'll flow off that way. Okay, so back here, back to down here. Gee, I wonder if I'll finish this. Okay, so as I get down here, I'm just gonna warm it up. So I have Jumbrillant number 2, grabbing that, maybe a little burnt sienna. Take a little of my sky color. And I do quick draws like that just to see if I can get a broken stroke. And remember, I'm painting light. That's what I'm painting. I'm not painting anything else. I'm not painting shadows. I'm painting light. So anywhere where I want like a feeling of light, that's what I do. Now I'm just going to give this a little squirt down here, keep that wet. I'm going to grab a smaller brush, and I just want to put some of my values into this building. And it's sort of like gosh, what kind of blue is that? I'm going to go for sky blue and Verdideer. I'm going to really lighten it up. I might add a little Jumbrillant, which is a little yellow to that. I'm just going to go into this. I mean, even though this is the shadow side of that building, it looks so light to me. And it's really about value, not necessarily color at this point. And maybe I'll just go ahead and, just sprinkle some water in there. Or maybe I'll just throw some water just to break that edge there a little bit. And it's okay for me to make this dark because I think this is on the dark side, so I'm just gonna, okay. So we'll let that go. Okay, so I'm back down to here. And I'm just gonna go more burnt sienna. Maybe I'll go for, I just want to dirty this up. And again, the colors when I did this were so much different than they are now. The light has changed, and so I'm just going to stick with what I had before. So I'm going to put a little more color into this. So my passageways, remember, this is going to fade quite a bit. I'm just going to go blue, just adding the blue of the sky that I had before, and a little Verdideer, just bluing it up, this mixture. I'm going to pull some off. That's why I use the sponge. Pull it off so I have less in here, so I can do a kind of a dry drag over that. And maybe I got some sparkles in that, so I think that's good, kind of like that. And this water, to me, it's the same kind of thing. I want to, sort of a gray color now, but I'm just gonna kind of pump it up. I'm gonna just put a little phthalo, and I'm gonna do a quick drag right over that, just to kind of add some of that. And I really want, if you look at it, there's places in the water that are very, what do I have in this? They're reflecting the sun, and there's some that aren't. Like right here, right, and for me, where I'm standing, right here is almost, it's this color here, it's a darker color. So I really want these to pop, this and this area. So that's me bringing this down into this, and I'll hit it later if I need to make it bluer or something, but right now I don't want it to mix with any of that, so I'm just going to leave it.
Is that a phthalo green? Blue? Just phthalo?
About. It's in my phthalo section over here. This is all phthalos. And I could talk about that in a sec. I mean, in terms of so back into, So I kind of like making these bold marks and then figure out what I want to keep. What's necessary here. Okay. And then I think I'm just going to grab, let's see, maybe I will do a couple dry marks here too. And I think I want to have like a kind of a gray, so I might have had some phthalo in that brush anyhow. So, trying to make it gray with some, like a purpley gray. So I'm adding some alizarin, a little cobalt. And I'm just gonna, remember we were talking about sky colors, just trying to break that up just a bit. Now, do I want that really hard? This is right at the edge of this. Do I want the eye going there? No, I don't think I do. So I'm just gonna stop my sparkles before they go off. Okay. And now, I didn't have this in my palette a while ago. You guys hear me? And I love this phthalo light green. It's this Vanillier color, and it's very green, yeah. But I mix it with other colors, and I feel like it's a nice, neutral color. So I'm just gonna try and go around and add some colors before this gets too wet. And I want this, this to mix in with what I have. So this is a phthalo green, going to Chinese orange. A little thicker, so maybe it's gonna stay, I'm hoping. So, remember we were talking about something to keep your eye in? Like I think adding something here is like a stopper. So I wanna do that. There's some patchy greens here. And this is light. I mean, remember not to get too dark. And I could have done it up here, but I'll have to wait. I think I'm gonna go for, I like this red strip thing here. So even my brush strokes, big, medium, small. So I don't have to do that. So you have that's my choice. And why do I do that? It's just like, anytime you can think about big, medium, small, do it. And it takes practice. It's one of the things you practice at home. For me, I did. I'm just going to restate that. I kind of like this roof having like a little glow to it. I'm not sure if it'll go out or bleed. That's okay. So, this other parts are drying, so it's okay. I kind of like wasting some time here. Not wasting time, but did I say that? Okay. So remember that sparkling of the trees things? And I like, I'm just going to connect some dots here. That's going to fade anyhow, so. Okay. So, I think I'm going to move a little. So, I'm sorry, you guys might have to move too. Just because what I don't. Oh, that's okay, yeah. So, why I did that is just I don't want any light coming in because it makes it harder for me to see. So I just moved a little bit. Okay. Well, this should be our impressionistic time, and I think, if you can get away with any, maybe this is a cooler. I might just throw this in now. I'm going to break that bridge even. So the bridge, see how that tree falls down, crossing it? So I get to break the bridge, and isn't that a pathway through the bridge? It's because I broke it. So okay, so we're drying sort of, and I'm killing time. So always have, I got some birds up here. Okay, so any questions?
Give us a peekaboo.
Oh yeah. You know, it doesn't come off. So if you want to walk up while this is drying, I probably got, you know, a good 5 minutes, I think, for it. So you guys, if you want to come up, or I'll get out of the way.
What yellow are you using for your green?
I used a combination of that phthalo light Sennelier color and yellow ochre and probably burnt sienna and some of that Chinese orange color. That's a Sennelier color.
Geoff, how did you decide what that you were going to paint this view?
Because there was grassier places for all of you. But that's a good question. Like a lot of times what I do is I'm looking for big shapes. I'm looking for those pathways. I'm looking for variety of elements. Like, what are the elements? Well, line, shape, color, value, texture. I have rocks. I have reflection in the stream. I have like the big shape of this building, you know, and I have light coming down over it, so I get to break that building too. I get to light and like I'll let light pour into it. Is my plan.
What brand of mop brush do you use, and where do you get them?
Okay, I got. I have to look at the name. These are Italian. I like these, and the silvers are great too. So I have silver fill mop, and these are Tintoretto 1412 Aqua Soft. And but they have a good point. They lose hairs, but it's not so bad. But
Where do you get them?
oh, Jackson Art Supply.
Jackson.
Jeff, I came in late. Didn't.
Geoff, why do you
What kind of
put
paper?
Velcro around the handle of your brush?
Oh, so I can. Yeah, I used to have a smaller place, and I can hang them.
Oh, I see.
I have a question about the red there.
Oh, can I answer? What was your?
What kind of paper is that?
Oh, it's Saunders 140 rough, and it's laminated onto gator board.
It's
with-
rough. It's a rough
It's a
one.
rough, yes.
Yeah, I had a question about the red. Is that like the eaves kind of coming out?
Yeah, it's the red in the eaves, and I'll go over it.
Right.
But and most likely it'll be dark. But I kind of like that I could put that in there now.
Yeah. Just for stopping.
Yeah. I mean, you might not even see it later.
Yeah.
How do you laminate paper to the gator board?
Okay, that's a bigger. I mean, but really quickly, I brush on acrylic gel. I bow the paper so when it goes down, I don't want any bubbles, and I vacuum, not a single piece of dust. Put it on. I have a brayer. Bray it gently, because if you do hard, it scores the paper. So you do it just gently, just to get bubbles out. Plywood, anyway. And then like 10 hours.
Dry or wet?
Dry.
What's the advantage of that over using like a block?
Well, this I can put right into a plein air frame.
Okay.
And I can, I mean, you probably could do it with paper too, but I can varnish it so I'll lose the plexi.
What's the point in doing that prior to painting it? Because you can do that after you painted a painting too.
But then well, there's certain sizes that come ready-made for plein air frames. And so if you paint it and just kind of guess what, you know, tape the paper, then you put it onto a substrate, you know, this, it has to be the same size as a frame. So I just made them the size of frames.
Right.
But
But I just meant, how do you know you're going to have a painting that you want to frame? So couldn't you do it after you
If it's a loser, I'll put another piece of paper on top.
Wow.
Okay, let's go. I think that's dry enough. I can get started on this. Okay, why do I want it dry? That's so it's not too dry, but I'm just gonna go on soldier on anyhow. I'm gonna wet. Wow, now I see nice. Yeah, I might do that.
So before you start,
Oh, we doing a big picture?
you're waiting.
Hurry!
Keep
I got a lot to do. Okay, so I'm just gonna clean this up. You know, I don't think I'm gonna necessarily finish it, but I will finish it. You know, as you guys start to paint, I will get it done. I like that little puffy blue. I feel like I could have done a little more with that. So this is my big, wet brush here, and I'm just going to go through here, and I'm just going to make a couple. Sometimes this is, I just have to act, right? Do I know exactly what I'm doing? I have an idea. Okay, that's on there. I want another brush. That was just water, yeah. So Vertideer, little alizarin, kind of going more transparent, some cerulean, and I'm just gonna hit. I'm just gonna put a tiny bit of red in there. I'm just trying to, so it's not so saturated. So this is like an organic, some kind of organic something, I can't remember. Anyhow, so. Because I like what it's doing now, so. So the more I make this dark, the more that'll feel like light. That's how I kind of see it. Now, I'm gonna let that go. It's nice and soft right there. Okay, tilting it because it's going down. I want it to go another direction. And then I'm going to do this hill. I'm going to mix this. Maybe I'll use this, a smaller one of these. That hill, it's in light. I want it warm, but not too warm. I want it to go back. So it's a value thing. Maybe I'll cool it off. So we'll go cerulean. Alizarin's sort of a cool, warm to me. So I'm just going to use that. And we'll see here. So I'm gonna shake this a little bit, just see if I can get some little edges there. And I'm gonna put try and warm it up a bit as I come down here. More water. Okay, back to this. Warm it up. Burnt sienna. Tiny bit of green, because as you're coming down the hill, I want it to get warmer, but I don't want it. I want it slightly darker than this building, I think. So why am I doing this? I'm just breaking that edge where that tree is, where it hits this. So I'm trying to make an organic edge. Okay. Best laid plans, huh? So you just have to see how it goes. I do kind of like, there's some houses and stuff up here. So smaller brush, got to thicken my paint up a bit. I'm just gonna make a couple. As if it's detailed, there's some trees. I think this is all gonna blur. I don't want to spend too much time. I'm just gonna go right through that edge. So notice I'm sort of top down, back, going front. Phthalo green. Some Van Dyke. Still warm, but kind of cool. As I'm coming down off this hill, maybe getting a little darker. Okay, so I hope that sort of runs into this building a bit. Now I want this building to look lighter, so I'm sort of making that just slightly bit dark. So I'm going to go into this building. I'm going to try and do this really quick. And to me, it's a backlit thing. So oops, that green's. Okay, I have an accumulation of water, so I'm just gonna grab that. So to me, it's as quickly as I can without spending too much rendering time doing this. And I have a tree here, so I'm just gonna kind of So commit back in tree color, but I want it light. I want to lighten it up, brighten it up, like it's getting more sun. So I went into yellow ochre. Okay, so I think I'm going to start on these trees now, but it's sort of wet, but maybe I want it to be on the wet side. I'm going to switch brushes.
Can you stand aside for 1 quick minute?
Okay.
So everybody can see on both sides?
Uh-huh.
You have time.
Oh, I got time?
You have half a minute. You're good.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to start on this, and I might actually wait because this is wet, and I want this to pop out in front of that. So I'm just going to wait and let that go a bit. So maybe I'll start on this side, but maybe I'll just finish up this this wash here, like at the base of this building, because it sort of goes down and it's in shadow. So I made lines for the building and then I broke them. And remember, this is sort of in light, so I just don't want it to be too dangerous, because I know it's like it'd be safer just to kind of leave it and pull it later, but I just don't want that to get too dark. But hopefully it'll lighten up a bit. Okay. So this is the top, like it comes down and it's there. Okay. And then when that's dry, I'll go over that with my bridge. Okay. So, we're gonna go here, trees. So I'm gonna use my made a tree brush, and I put pins in it, and I think I'm getting better at using it. Going into my Phalos and Van Dyke, pretty dark stuff. I'll give it a little squirt and maybe a fling before I start. And I'm trying to see where I have marks already. Still pretty wet from maybe even when I did that other, but I think that's okay. So usually, do you start with the trunks or do you start with the leaves? Like I start with the leaves. And then I'll make the trunks fit the shapes, because I have those shapes in certain areas. So putting more warmth into it. Okay, so I'm trying to look at my drawing and see where I have these shapes. And where do I want them? Okay, so now I gotta see I'm lost, so I have to do this. So big shape here, had a shape here. Look at me, I'm hardly looking at this thing. And then there's something hanging down here, which I kind of liked.
Geoff, do you generally work from the outside of the tree inward, or do you sometimes work from the inside of the tree outward, or how do you generally handle a tree like that? It looks like
I do it by shapes. I think sort of how I'm doing it. Like I really design where the shapes are supposed to be. I try and do the big, medium, small, which I'm not sure if I totally got here, because I'm thinking big. This is big. I mean, and then I have a couple other shapes. I think I made it more complicated than it maybe should be, but I want these to sort of drape down. And remember I was talking about like light coming down. So sometimes I'll put some water up here, just on the very edge, and let it come on down. Pardon?
Like a shaft of light?
Yeah, and I might help it along with some, strokes. Doing this. But the water will keep going even after I do this. But if you put water there, it'll keep moving a little bit. Remember, I was just a sense of direction. Okay, so I'm going to make the barn color. So, and I think what I'm going to do actually right now, while that's doing that, and you can look at that. But I sort of want to tilt it because I want the light direction to go, to come this way. I'm just going to mix piles of primaries using my blues, ultramarine, cobalt. burnt sienna.
While you're doing this, can you explain? He has this paper on the side here. I don't know if I can
Oh, well,
explain that because I don't know that anybody's necessarily seen that.
well, remember I was talking about like my first wash that's light. It represents light, and so I made got this zone system, photography off the internet, but these are just 10 values, and it could be 5 values. You can break it up so many different ways, but this I consider light. So that first layer I put on that represented light probably would be in, sort of this value range. Like I try and keep it to that. And then when I do my, I call this a medium value range. When I do this, now I'm in this range. And this I consider accents. I'll add them last. When everything's dry and I really want to punch something into darkness. So now I'm starting to do this range. So that's what this is. Is that good?
But it's got what is written on it. The volume.
Well, it says, form and volume. Okay, so like, how do we know something has volume? Well, it's really light tells us, light and shadow. And so, and the shadow part, which is could be cool. I mean, it depends on the light that's, out at the time, but it could be cool on a sunny day. It's going to be cool, but that's what creates volume, form, like how we see an object. So I'm, I took care of the light side. Now I'm putting in the shadow to give form. So that's how I think about it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to make some red. So alizarin, Van Dyke. So I kind of mix a bunch of reds together. I might even put a little blue in it so it's not or a violet. Mix them up. I'm trying to make lots, and so I'll put even a little cad or whatever this organic red is. Whoops. It's a Daniel Smith color. Okay. And then maybe I'll make some more green just so I have it. Fatal blue, Van Dyke. Because remember, we were kind of saying these are, well, it's sunny now, so kind of going cool, so. But I want to make sure I got plenty of red in there too, because I don't want it to be too hot green. Oops, way too much. Okay. So maybe that dried a little bit, and I'm just gonna go. I might even do my look, little vertideer. I'm looking up there. Maybe some of my blues. Kind of a warm blue, so I'm just gonna put a little. It's sort of a combination of my blues and burnt sienna. And I'm just going to go into some of these. It's dry enough that it's staying now. I even break some of these. Like, I don't necessarily have to do, like when I'm doing a tree, I don't have to, I can pick up and come back down. I can do a dry brush stroke and get a broken stroke. Okay, there's a branch coming out here. And there's another darker branch kind of coming out from the side here. Okay, and I might just, and I might let that dry a little bit, but I guess I want this to come, whatever foliage is on this, maybe it'll come, maybe I'll wait a little bit, let that dry, come back and do that. Sometimes it's kind of nice to, that pathways thing is just to break, like I broke that trunk, like as if light's hitting it. Okay, so coming back to this big brush, light's hitting the top of that building now, but it's sort of like kind of a deeper red. Just gonna, oops. Okay. I'm gonna warm it up. I'd like that to be sharp, and I might have to go back over that at some point. Now these little bits, remember I was trying to, and actually I left some there, so that's good, but I got too much in a hurry. But trying to leave those little bits so that breaking that. And now I'm just going to get some water, and I'm just going to put it right up into here. Remember we were just talking about, breaking something, so I'm just going to break that. Could be I'm breaking too many things, but we'll see. See how it goes. Okay, anything off to the side, I might just add a little blue to it. Just like I don't need, the darker this is, so I'm just doing like a mini wash. It's a more complicated wash than that first one, but it's still sort of like a mini wash. And I'm just going to join this tree with this building too. And there's a fence back there. I might leave some like indication of like some kind of railing going on. These look too straight, so I broke them. Okay, so I'm just gonna let that go. Kind of keep an eye on it, but I'm just gonna make a little thicker. Trying to thicken my paint as I go too, right? That's where I added that red. So broken stroke. And I'm not really sure if maybe I'll really go for some red. Oh, it really throws some warmth into that. So it's just coming down. Don't break that line. Trees merging. I think I'm going to re-emphasize some of the coolness of the tree. So I'm going to go for some vertideer and some lavender, just to kind of distinguish it from this warmth. Where can I get away? I don't like those. Look a little. I don't like those too much. Distracting shapes. I don't think I need it. Okay. And I'm just gonna take. I don't want to go too dark, but now that's looking too red. Just gonna. So it's all wet, right? It's all flowing. It's all in motion. I'm gonna leave it. Okay, so I'm gonna follow my pathway. Do you see it's a nice sharp shadow now? Now, is this still wet? Still a little wet, so I'm gonna come down here and go into this before I come back into this, because I want this sharp to come away from that. So I think I can do the base of the bridge, which is right here. So I'm gonna do, and it's like one of my darkest colors. So Van Dyke, Payne's Gray. I'll warm it up, burnt sienna. And all these little places I can kind of let everything flow into itself, into this big shape, and I think that's good. This is that bridge, right, the bottom of the bridge, and I kind of like the idea of breaking it. So yeah, it's wet up here, so I'm just gonna do this stuff.
I can't pick his picture up from him, so if you guys want to come up a few at a time to peek at this, feel free.
That would be great. You're welcome to come up. So I'm just following the shadow shape all the way down to the creek. And these are the rocks, which are sort of like, they're just gonna make like what I think is rock shapes coming down. I'm gonna warm them up a bit, so I'm coming back into some of this burnt sienna. Might add some other warm colors to this. But here I'm getting a little texture, like focusing the eye. Kind of come back here to the shadow on the other side of this bank. And remember, the bridge sort of goes underneath. Now, do I want it the same value? I don't think I have to. So I'm going to lighten it up a little bit, a little more water. Maybe I'll warm it up. So just a slight bit lighter. And maybe I'm just going to do some, whoops, don't like it there. Some splattering here just to, because this is that tree coming down, connecting with that. So I'll take some of my green here, do a dry brush. So I'm sort of trying to connect that tree, trying to, you know, go let the tree sort of move through that bridge, right? So it looks like I started up here, so I think I'm just going to continue this tree, finish this tree up. So I'm just going to get another type of brush so I can do some, you know, some texture and lights hitting it. I want the value to be more like warm. It does kind of connect to this in real life, but I think I want to separate it a little bit. Maybe a little orange in this, some cad orange. Just to warm it up, bring it forward. So I'm trying to, you know, when I do the brush, like I'm spinning it, you know, sometimes I'll go different direction. You know, you're not limited to this, right? You got this, you have this, you can push it.
Is that the brush you cut into and terrorize?
Yeah, my tortured brush, the tortured brush.
What was it?
It was a Chinese, well, it's a Chinese, I bought it used, like a Chinese brush. And so I think I like this here, this little bit of lightness, as if this is this other tree. Sorry. And they put pins in it, which is sort of cool because this isn't the best splatter brush, but I'm just going to throw some color into this too, into this tree. And I'm going to go, I need a Van Dyke Phthalo really quick. Kind of connected to the bridge. Sort of doing the darker part of this tree. And I'm squinting a lot. I'm here, I'm like this, looking at that. So I can see shapes, not things. Like I'm not looking at leaves. Like I think I can come back and I can kind of do a little leaf dance here to make it you know, like if I think I need that. But again, like here I'm doing something way off. Do I want someone to look there? I'm not sure. I don't think so. So maybe I don't like, maybe I'm going to weaken that, you know, so soften it, weaken it. Let the water take care of that. But here, I want someone looking here. This is sort of like, I want to cut through here. I don't mind, like, I have a better one, but it's not out.
Is that the one hanging on the...
Oh, no, not that one. That's, yeah, that would be really dangerous. Okay, this is my stab move. But I like the idea that, like, this is really dark right there. Like I feel like that's good for my composition. Just get connect. This is more, it's even the wrong color, but it's to me more about, you know, trying to get that line going through. Okay. All right. So, okay, back here, this is still wet, actually. That's great. And I see shadows. And so this is my green pile. I'm just going to try and move what I can. And then just going to throw a bunch of blue in here for like shadow. Van Dyke. Little greens in there. That's good. Okay. I'm just going to, you know, just come down, bring my shadow down. There's some other stuff like hitting here. All like trying to point everything to here. So I'm coming with this. Bring this here.
You have like 15 minutes.
Oh wow! Can't believe it. Usually, I really freak out. Usually, when people tell me, it's like, oh no. So I'm just bringing that shadow down. I'm trying to go thick, thin, you know, because it's sitting on the contour of this plane. So I kind of like that. Sometimes I just like, I don't know what it is, but sometimes I just like adding some titanium white to something as if it's like smoke or something. I don't know. Just to haze it. Remember I was saying, do I want that red? So Vertideer, titanium white. You don't want to do too much because it's opaque and it'll take away some of the transparency. So I added some water there still. But I like the idea that it's taking the color down. You know, so I'm trying to gather contrast and color here. And I mean, I did here, which maybe I should throw some of that over here. I'll let some of that just mix in. You know, it's like, and titanium white is another color that sort of like, it'll mix in there and just take it down a little bit. So we'll see what that does. Okay, so let's just back to our shadows. And we have another tree here. So big brush, as big as I can kind of manage, and trying to do fresh marks coming down to the, and I'll take another, I'll go for this soft brush. Warm it up with something here, and maybe I'll just do a couple, you know, which could be like, you know, some contours of this landscape.
So are you referring now to what the painting needs or what was in your preliminary sketch?
Well, you know, it's almost like I don't even have time to look at it. So I'm really just dealing with, I always think like, there's a saying, and I know I'm misinterpreting it. There's a map. It's a map. My thinking, my plan. And then this is the territory. I'm on feet on the ground. And I'm looking at this, and what does this mean? And the more I go on, the less I look at that. And the more I start looking at this and go, oh, hey, where do I need a path light? And I think, you know, where do I need something? You know, that's not going to tell me. I mean, I guess if I spent 40 hours on that, then I could probably go by that. But we're out here, and it's like a couple hours. That just kind of gets me going. But then I have to stop looking at that and really just, it's an interaction between what I know about design and what watercolor can do and what this needs. So, and I try and say, you know, like just, I think it's important too, just saying like, I think this is my important place. And too, like what if I might put someone on that bridge too, that would make it even more important because a human element draws our eye to it. So.
How long do you spend on your preliminary sketch?
I think like 10 minutes. I used to time myself. Because that made you go, oh, I spent a half an hour on that? There you go. So, okay. So, what do I got 10 minutes? Okay, let's do water because that looks cool. My wife, I think she would say that water's an icky color, but I'm going to stick with that, you know, because it's like this. What color is that? It's sort of a rich brown green. And I kind of like, whoops. Because to me, it's a dark form coming through here, and I want to kind of get these sparkles. You know, before I get those sparkles, I'm gonna blue those up. Okay, dirty brush. Looking for a clean brush. think that had blue in it. Good clean space. I'm gonna go for some, sky color now, blue. And maybe it wasn't that way before, and maybe that's why it didn't occur to me. But I'm just gonna blue this up, and I'm gonna blue up. Pick that up. I don't want to get any of that. Just gonna put a little blue. Okay. And I want that to dry, so I'm gonna try and pat it down so it doesn't bleed into blue. Okay, let's make that color. Go for my little cat. Oh man, that's a toughie. Go in little phthalo and cat orange. And let's just make a little mark. That looks dark. Maybe some yellow. Okay, maybe. Okay, so I'm just gonna define this bank. Don't want to lose all my sparkles. Okay, let's see. I'm just going for some blue, kind of a neutral blue. I kind of like that, but I just want to make some of these rocks coming down. So it just sort of fades back there. We have a sense of where that line of the creek, like a road, sort of going back. I just want to solidify that little sliver of light here. And maybe there I might get rid of it. Like I'm just going to join the bridge and some of this other stuff too. And maybe I'm just going to get rid of that just a bit. So you don't have to
bring the microphone over.
Oh, okay. Okay. How am I doing? Is that better? Now, yeah, I'm just gonna go back into this, a little green. Gonna make a green just to kind of get some of the stuff going on here. The grass. Maybe I'll do a dry brush. And I'm letting this dry so I can pull that shadow. See how the shadows jump the creek? But can't do it now. I could do it on the other side. Oops. Oops, too much. Too fast. Kind of like as if this is sort of, this tree shadows are coming down too. How are we doing, Lori?
We got 5 minutes or so.
So maybe I'll try it. Let's see what this is. No, pretty wet. But I want some of these shadows to, jump this creek. So all of a sudden it's like more color, more contrast. And there's a rock here, I think I could put in. I'm really just doing the shadow side of it. Quick, get a picture.
Yeah, get that train in the picture. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh wow.
Right? How perfect is it?
Oh. I hope someone's taking a picture. Such a shot. I was just gonna say that. Oh man, this is like in the movies they have mist.
Yeah,
I wonder if that smells. Anyhow. Okay, so I think it's time for me to take questions because I'm sort of, I'll keep working on it. But, so, just to do a recap. So, first wash, then I did this second wash, but it was really light. And to me, that joins with the sky. It's lit. And then I started this, and I kind of came down. Then I wanted that to dry, so I started this. So everything is a series of washes in the sense that you travel through the shapes. And I had this thing that I figured out to say, and that is you have to read your paper. So the moisture in your paper, you got to read it. How do you do that? You look at, is it reflecting light? I do this a lot, and I touch it. And I go, okay, it's not ready. It's not ready for me. But a lot of times it tells you what if you want to do something to it. Okay, I need to make thick paint because it's still kind of damp. It's still wet. So I'll change the mixture in my brush to match what I read in the paper. If that makes sense. So I'm always kind of evaluating. Okay, what's in my brush, and I'm evaluating how wet is the paper.
And also which brush, because some release water faster than others, right?
Yeah, so synthetic won't hold it as well. And and something with the long point, put off the tip a lot of times. Whereas these, they're sort of made, you can tell, the big belly really kind of stays in here. And when you connect the belly, that's when it releases. Okay.
Any other questions?
Questions? Yeah.
What did you put on the ends of your brushes so you can hang them upside down?
Oh, Velcro.
Did you hear
Oh,
that?
that one didn't
Velcro?
work. Velcro. So I have some Velcro. I used to have a tiny table, and so I couldn't put my brushes on the table. So I put it on my side of my easel so I could hang stuff. And this is all Velcro too. This stays on. It'll take a pretty good gust of wind. Good. Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Great